Hello. Wait, shit. I forgot to do one thing before I start the stream, so I'm gonna do that real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm back. Hello. I wanted to work more on this Astalos painting, and I decided I didn't really care what I listened to today. I've been working on it a little bit, and I have been listening to primarily the music I wanted to listen to. I didn't feel too obligated to anything today. So we're listening to the Jack X OST, which I have been listening to while I fight Malzeno, the Sunbreak demo. Monster Hunter Sunbreak demo. Let me turn off these starting soon. Okay. So we might end up shortening the canvas, we will see. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm not certain what it is yet. Microphone's on, headphones work. I don't know what I'm forgetting, but anyway. I guess I can go over what I have been working on. So what I worked on, or what I ended up working on, let's get rid of this. I added a bunch of reference too, so I'll go over that in a minute. So I worked on the color of the inner bit of this, like, whatever you'd call it, like, I don't know. I have literally no idea what you'd call this, but mixing that with the scales, they seem to be going more back, which is contradictory kind of to the concept art, it looks like. It looks like there's kind of predetermined sort of shapes in there, and yet there's not that predetermined shape from that video. So I don't know. Weird. There is some changes I'll probably make to it. On top of that, I started working on the scales. I know it's not accurate. It's not really supposed to be at this point. This is where I'm going to end up taking my own choices here. What I think will look better. And I don't think that leaving these totally flat necessarily will look for the best. You see a little bit of like roughness in the, you know, texture here. So I kind of probably want to recreate maybe a little bit of that. But I've also grabbed a bunch of actual animal references, which I can show off here. So I grabbed a horn. It's a pretty decent reference here. As well as this guy who's got some similar patterning, right? But his skills are much smaller, obviously. Got some sort of patterning going on there. Oops. You got a horned lizard here. Kind of give me ideas. I learned that spikes on animals are more of a defensive thing, not offensive. which makes a lot of sense in hindsight. But like this right here is probably what I want to recreate, is this sort of like landscape across the scales of Astalos. So in here it'll probably look closer to that. Some areas looking more like this. So just this like kind of building up zone where it's like following the pattern. You see this with their more recent monsters that have spikes like this. I think like Nergigante or Magnamalo. You see that layered spike sort of look to them. I don't think it's necessarily harmful. I also looked at armadillos here, as they have sort of this sort of like more, what is the word I'm looking for, like layered like pattern, whereas this is sort of just almost seemingly random on how it's, I mean, it's evolutionarily advantageous whichever way the spike pointed. That's why they really look like that. It's not poking into itself, right? So it is almost haphazard in its look. This is more streamlined in a sense with the armadillo. And then I grabbed some crocodile references, possibly for like the color palette of like the smaller inner working changes. And just to get an idea for like larger sort of plates or scales, I suppose. And again, this has that sort of on the back of like a, I think this is an alligator. So on the back of like an alligator or crocodile, they might have like this sort of same thing that I was talking about with the armadillo, where it's layered and streamlined in a sense. And I have another reference of that as well, although this is nowhere near high quality. I just grabbed what I could show on stream. And I grabbed some turtle references for the back of that, maybe get some ideas. Sort of the randomness of the shell, the way it looks, like amongst these like seams. And I have one last little reference here, which is like the color palette of this lizard and the shape of it. Also, this right here kind of looks like Astalos' neck. Not quite the same, but it's got the sort of vibe to it. So this is primarily what I want to reference, is things like this. Kind of get an idea of what I'm really looking at. A lot of the color deviation and, you know, the palette of it. I guess it is pretty green, so it's not quite black. Regardless, this will help me out here. So I'm probably going to reference the horn for like the tooth scales or whatever. I think that will probably be the smartest idea. As well as I've noticed that there are these sort of patterns going through the I don't know what to call that at all. I have no idea. Also, any sort of like electric little shock like this that we see and references, I'm probably going to add afterward. That'd be more like a final touch than it would be a like premiere like effect that I'm putting in now. Planning that out too early is just too much hassle to work around. A better artist may be able to do it, especially considering I'm planning on changing the back of the neck here. This shape is probably going to disappear entirely and change out for something else. I just realized I am streaming at like way too high a resolution. Huh. I'm going to pause this for a second. I think I'm streaming at a high resolution. Let me double check that. That might explain the frame drops. And honestly, I don't really want to fucking destroy my internet, so yeah, I'm streaming at 720 right now. I'm going to stop the stream and recording and start back over because this is way too high. So I will be right back.